Sunday, and I'm at my cousin's and he's looking at me like I'm nuts because I'm talking to a camera. And I have a bumblebee umbrella. Do you like my bumblebee umbrella? I don't want to get sunburnt. Anyway, this week I read Prince Caspian by C.S. Lewis, the next one in the Chronicles of Narnia. It was a really good book. I quite liked how the kids, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy, were on their way back to school. And they're waiting for the train, and then all of a sudden, they're not in England anymore, and they're back in Narnia. And that's where the excitement kind of starts again. And I really liked how you built a lot more on the characters. Like, through each of these stories, you get more and more characters. And this one is where, obviously, Prince Caspian comes in. And I like how they introduced him, told his story, and at the end of the book, you figure out a lot of different things. I like how in this book, the current king, he's not very nice. The whole old Narnian ways are gone. And talking beasts pretty much don't exist. It's not a very happy time in Narnia until all of a sudden things start happening. The children show up back in Narnia, and then there's another war. So throughout this book there's a lot more fighting. Caspian turns from a young boy into a strong king, and you just see a lot more development in Peter's leadership roles. Susan kind of sits back, doesn't play a huge role in this book, and then we still have Lucy and Edmund. Edmund's still quite the dueler and very strong-willed, and he's a lot more noble in this book too. I like a lot how in this book they show that the dwarves, they don't really get along very well, and then once Aslan actually proves himself real, and everyone's just like, oh wow, he's real, and then the whole old Narnian ways come back into play after a lot of fighting and war. And there's quite a few deaths, but because it's a children's book, they don't really portray the deaths too much. They more so show just the fighting and the nobility of the animals. And I think one of the most noblest creatures in this book is Reapcheap, the head mouse. He's pretty cool. I think out of this book, my favorite character is probably Reapcheap. I think that's how you say his name. But C.S. Lewis comes up with some of the greatest names. There's just a lot of adventure and a lot of storytelling, how Caspian escapes from his castle and meets up with new people, and his nurse who raised him got sacked for telling him stories of old Narnia. And then Dr. Cornelius, I believe his name is, he came in to tutor Caspian, to teach him, for him to learn reading, writing, all that important stuff. And then lo and behold, he tells him some stories too. But they just don't speak of these stories because he knew what happened with the nurse. And throughout the book, just so many different things happen, and I really like how at the end, you find people again that you thought were lost, and certain characters walk out of the book that you're kind of sad to see go. So I can't wait to get into Voyage of the Dawn Treader, because I want to see what happens to the characters that stay in the book. Other than that, I don't want to say too much without spoiling it. I just want to say that it was a really exciting book. There was a lot going on in it, and I read as much as I could for as long as I could, but I don't have a lot of time when I'm constantly working. But on that half, laid off until after VidCon, so I will have time to read and make videos every Friday, although this is going up on a Sunday. Other than that, that's about it. I hope you enjoy your Sunday. Maybe it looks as nice as this one does. Maybe not. Anyway, have a fabulous week. I'll see you next Friday.